Good morning, children. This is the seventh part of the eighth chapter, the seventh video, where we are continuing with the evidences and theories of biological evolution. And last time we studied about cell biology and biochemistry, evolutionary evidences. Now we are looking at the fifth evidences of evolution today, which are molecular genetic evidences. Now, as you know, what are molecules? Molecules that you studied in class 11th are macromolecules, micromolecules. If you remember, children, that molecules are that of nucleotides, molecules are that of proteins, molecules are that of inorganic substances. So, if you remember what molecules are, today we are going to study evolution at molecular level. Molecular evolution emerged as a scientific field in 1960 when molecular biologists, evolutionary biologists, and those researching on population genetics sought to understand recent discoveries on structure and function of nucleic acids and proteins. Recent advances in genomics, if you remember from the last part of the video and from the last chapter parts, that genomics is all the DNA put together. Ma'am also told you about this, that recent advances in genomics including whole genome sequences, the whole of the DNA put together, genome sequences, protein characterization, that means the study of how proteins are made, and bioinformatics, information that is given through biology, have led to a dramatic increase in the field of molecular evolution. Now we will look one by one at some evidences of molecular evolution. One of these evidences is neutral mutations. You know, children, what ma'am told you about mutations. Mutations are nothing but a sudden change in the genes. So, neutral mutations here can be defined as that these are changes in DNA sequence that are neither beneficial, that means they are neither good for an organism, nor detrimental, neither they are bad for the organism, to the ability of an organism to survive and reproduce. So what do neutral mutations do? They do not affect the organism's chance of survival in its natural environment and can accumulate over time. So we see that in molecular evolution, it is very important that we look at the natural environmental changes at the molecular level in organisms. The second aspect that we see in molecular evolutionary changes is punctuated equilibrium. Now, what is punctuation? Punctuation in English is putting commas, full stops, etc., semicolons. But what is punctuated equilibrium? Punctuated equilibrium is a theory in evolutionary biology which proposes that once a species appears in the fossil records, the population will become stable. Once a species is in the fossil records, that means it is died and they have become fossils and have been buried in the earth, in the ground, showing little evolutionary change for most of its geological history. So there is very little evolutionary change left in its geological history. So this study is punctuated equilibrium. Okay, children? So this is a study of the populations and how they become stable, unstable, and in the geological history, what are the evolutionary changes that have taken place in the development of such populations. Now let us look at the third evidence of molecular evolution, molecular systematics. Molecular systematics is the study of correct scientific classification from the point of view of evolutionary biology. That means going sequentially in order, in an orderly fashion, to study the classification of organisms' molecular evolutionary history. You understand it, children? Now, how the molecular systematic study is possible? How is the study possible? This study has been made possible by the availability of techniques, such tools or techniques for DNA sequencing. You already know, ma'am told you DNA sequencing, that how the purines and pyrimidines, they are laid in a list one under the other, the combination and the sequences, how they are laid. So the study has been made possible by the availability of techniques for DNA sequencing, which allows the determination of the exact sequence of nucleotides in DNA. So this helps us to study the nucleotide or DNA molecules and their development through the evolutionary history. Now we come to the fourth evidence of protein sequencing. This also, ma'am, if you remember, talked about when she was teaching you about inheritance. Protein sequencing allows molecular biologists to create phylogenetics based on sequence comparison and to use the differences between homologous sequences as a molecular clock to estimate the time since the last common ancestor. Now, what is phylogeny? If you remember, phylogeny is the evolutionary history of a race of organisms. We studied this last time in the chapter. And this allows molecular biologists to create phylogenetic, that means evolutionary history trends based on sequence comparison. Protein sequence comparison, and to use the differences between homologous sequences as a molecular clock. Now, what are homologous sequences? The shared ancestry between DNA, RNA, or protein sequence to see the similarity. Now, this is the homologous sequences. Shared ancestry between DNA, RNA, and other such molecules of different animals. So, as a molecular clock, through millions of years, the clock was running and the molecules were changing. So, this change in sequencing, protein sequencing, runs as a molecular clock to estimate the time since the last common ancestor was formed. So that means at molecular level, the protein sequencing has been changing through time. Now there was one person, his name was Russell Doolittle. He studied fibrinopeptide sequences. Fibrinopeptide is also a kind of molecule. So he studied fibrinopeptide molecule sequences and pointed out the close relationship between chimpanzees and humans. And in fibropeptide, molecule, what does it mean? It is a peptide which cuts off from fibrinogen by thrombin during blood clotting. This is fibrinopeptide. है ना? And you know, children, what peptides are. Peptides are compounds that contain amino acids. So this Russell Doolittle, when he studied the molecular sequencing of fibrinopeptide, he saw the change or the relationship between chimpanzees and humans. Now, this was part of protein sequencing. Let us come to the fifth aspect of how molecular evolution has taken place. We see that animals, they became land dwelling and shifted their source of oxygen from the water to the air. First they were aquatic, and so they were taking the oxygen from water. But when they came to land, they had to specialize themselves as to breathe oxygen from the air. So thus changes in the globin gene structure were vital when this took place. What is globin? Comes from hemoglobin. So the hemoglobin sequencing also changed from one generation to another. Let us see this through evolution of proteins. The evolution at molecular level is reflected in protein differences. So proteins can be called chemical fingerprints. You know what fingerprints are? The other day, if you remember, ma'am was talking about the DNA in the form of hair or blood that is found at the site of crime. And by studying that, the criminologists or CID people, they can find out that who the culprit is by matching the fingerprints. So the proteins, they are chemical fingerprints, we can say, of the evolutionary history, as they bear amino acid sequencing in them. Proteins are made of amino acids. And the other day, children, you answered what proteins are used for. The functions of proteins are used as enzymes. Proteins are used for building up muscles, for growth, etc., as we discussed. So, for example, there was a man whose name was Zucker Kandel. He reported about 22 differences between human hemoglobin chains and that of horse, pig, cattle, and rabbit. And therefore, he concluded, by studying the 22 differences in the hemoglobin chain of these various animals, he concluded that human hemoglobin changed or diverged from those of these animals by about 1 amino acid change per 7 million years. I hope I have made myself clear that one hemoglobin amino acid change came every 7 millionth year during the development of these line of animals. Finally, it became most developed in humans. Evolution of nucleotide sequences. Let us look at another thing. As animals, they change to land animals from aquatic animals. Evolution of nucleotide sequences. McCarthy, a man who was there in 1972, was a scientist, and others like him showed that for each 1% difference in the nucleotide sequences of two organisms, if we are comparing two organisms, the thermal stability of the hybrid DNA molecule is lowered by 16 degrees Celsius. We see that other day ma'am was telling that heat cannot kill DNA. So here we see that thermal stability changes when the hybrid DNA molecules of two different organisms are studied. and it is lowered by 16 degrees Celsius. For example, the reduction in thermal stability was observed to be 6 degrees Celsius between cow and sheep hybrid and 12 degrees Celsius between cow and pig hybrid, which showed a significant evolutionary distance between cow and pig than between cow and sheep. So, this was also a study of genetic change at the molecular level. Now we come to the universal genetic code as also an evidence of molecular evolution. The occurrence of DNA as genetic material, the universal sharing of the same genetic code and same codons for amino acids by the organisms showed that they all have evolved from some common ancestors. And as you remember what codons are, there is a triple codon for glutamine. There is an amino acid called glutamine and the codon is CAG, which stands for cytosine, adenine, guanine. Ma'am told you about the codon sequencing. Codon is a sequence of 3 DNA or RNA nucleotides, CAG, for example here, that correspond with a specific amino acid during protein synthesis. During protein synthesis, this triple codon will code for glutamine. Once it is read, then it would code for glutamine amino acid in protein building. So again, let us come to universal genetic code. The occurrence of DNA as genetic material, the universal sharing of the same genetic code and same codons for amino acids by all organisms shows that they all have evolved from some common ancestor. So let us conclude this video at this time with the study of molecular evolution, and in the next video we will look at the 6th evidence of geographical distribution, which is also very interesting study when we come to that. So till then children, wish you all the best and have a good day.